there's a lacuna, a gap in our thinking about the concept of struggle, the concept of jihad in our dawah, that we lack a strategy. Where is the collective strategy for our online dawah, bro? It's just reactionary a lot. What is the strategy for the global dawah, especially in the West? And we need to think this through carefully. And the reason we haven't done it is because we lack an Allah-centric, Akhirah-centric mindset. And I mention this all the time. Frankly, bro, not only do we have algorithm prostitutes, we have dawah pimps. Now, what does this mean? Sorry for the language, but I'm not here to make people happy, yeah? And I use this language deliberately because it will stick, yeah? So the algorithm prostitutes prostitute themselves to the algorithm in order to get like shares for an un-Islamic purpose, right? And they maybe sprinkle an Islamic purpose here and there, but it's mixed with other issues like fame and wealth, or just pushing my narrative and so on and so forth. And the dawah pimps are what? Are organizations, masajid, that only invite famous people just because they're famous, not because they have substance.
Assalamu alaikum, brothers and sisters. I hope everyone is well. So let me just start off by saying this is not clickbait. Hamza did lose it in a recent podcast, but it was needed. It is needed. And I think it was one of the best things to happen as far as online dawah is concerned. It's probably the best podcast that's come out in the past several months, maybe years. And I'm linking in the description below. Definitely go and watch that video, that podcast. But before you do it, I wanted to make a quick video because I wanted to give you a few principles before you watch this, which will hopefully help you or allow you to fully benefit from what Hamza is saying. The very first thing I want to highlight, I know Hamza for the past 10 years plus. And he's probably one of the only brothers that's really taken it upon himself to develop himself first and foremost as an individual. I've seen him change over the past 10 years, and it's very hard. That's one of the hardest things to do, to look yourself in the mirror and ask yourself, look, what are my shortcomings? What are my negative traits? Where do I lack? What are my weaknesses? And then really make the effort to develop yourself as a person. And he's actually done this. And one of the things that he genuinely has a concern for is the dawah. He feels, and I've spoken to him on the phone many times over the past couple of months, where you can hear it in his voice that he genuinely is concerned about the dawah, and he's genuinely concerned about the brothers involved in the dawah, whether that's individuals or organizations. It hurts him, it worries him, it scares him. He feels responsible. And I'm mentioning this because when you watch this podcast, I want you to realize that whatever he's saying, it's coming from a good place. It's coming from a place of genuine love and concern. He's not saying this out of, hate or some other ulterior motive. No, it's coming from a good place. So remember that when you watch this. The second thing I want you to do, especially the brothers involved in the dawah, if you watch this video and you watch Hamza's video, is to put yourself in the positions or the archetypes, if you like, that he's creating these, because he doesn't take names, and it's good he doesn't. It's not needed right now, at least. But the individuals that he portrays or he's speaking about, and these individuals exist, the dawah is in trouble from many different perspectives, online especially. Put yourself in those positions and ask yourself, is he speaking about me? Am I? And he may not be. And the chances are he's not talking about you. But put yourself in that position anyway. Is he speaking about me? Am I making these mistakes? Am I falling short? Have I overlooked things? Put yourself in that position. That will truly allow us to benefit from what's being said. And not only Hamza's podcast, but any content we watch. If we want to truly maximize our benefit from what we're engaging with, the content we watch, then engage with it like this. Try to truly benefit yourselves from it, and try to reform yourselves and change yourselves through content you watch online. So keep those two things in mind. It's very important. Don't just watch it as another entertainment podcast, because it's way more than that. And you don't want to miss out. You don't want to watch the whole, Hamza podcast and see him going off on one and, express himself and just be entertained, because it defeats the purpose. That's already happening online anyway. And that's one of the issues he points out, which is, dawahtainment or infotainment, that's going on in the dawah online. It's just entertainment, essentially. So don't make this video another form of that entertainment. There is a lot to unpack in this podcast, a lot to reflect upon. So treat it very seriously and really engage with it. Put yourself in those positions so you can benefit. And he talks about a lot of stuff. Look, he speaks about Andrew Tate, and when he mentioned the Andrew Tate points, and look, let's face it, Andrew Tate has made some big mistakes over the past couple of months, years, whatever the case is. He is a hugely influential person online. He is a Muslim, and he has to be more responsible, and he hasn't been. If from many different perspectives. Now, I haven't followed much of Andrew Tate's stuff online, if I'm being very honest, but nevertheless, I did feel a sense of guilt when he mentioned that, because the reality is, as small as my platform is online, and as little attention as I've paid to Andrew Tate, I maybe should have paid more attention, and maybe should have responded to this or spoken about this online, and I didn't. But nevertheless, it was important he mentioned that, because like he mentioned, not many people have spoken about this for various reasons, unfortunately, people that should have spoken about this. So he speaks about that, and then he moves on to some other very interesting and important points, highlighting some of the other elephants in the room, such as how we have become more liberal than the liberals themselves when it comes to the Dawah. Our approach to the Dawah is very individualistic, it's very Machiavellian. We're looking out for ourselves. It's about my views, my subscribers, my platform, growing it, all of this type of stuff. And this is happening in the Dawah. As opposed to looking at it as a collective, as how do we get together and see what the Dawah needs? How do we truly benefit the Dawah online? What content's going to be important and valuable and informative and educational truly, as opposed to just entertainment? We don't do this. Not only the individuals, but organizations too. We have to be responsible as organizations, Dawah organizations online. What is the core of our message? What is the core of our work? Are we doing the right things? Are we doing what's best for the Dawah, or are we doing what's best for the organization and the growth of the organization? Do we even understand the difference? And if we understand the difference, do we understand what we're doing and the sort of gray area that we're working in? These are important questions for organizations, mosques, organizations, individuals to ask themselves. Because look, at the end of the day, brothers and sisters, the reality is every single one of us is going to be standing in front of Allah. This is the fact. We're going to be standing in front of Allah. We're going to be accounted for. And the more responsibility you have, the more authority Allah has given you, the more the more difficult of a position that you're in, the more responsible that you have to be, the more cognizant you should be of your actions, your choices, what you decide to do, what you don't decide to do. And we should therefore pay more attention to our intentions behind what we're doing. Because a lot of the times, unfortunately, we don't. We just act, we react, and we don't think about what we're doing. We don't think about the long-term implications of what we're doing. How is this going to affect the Muslims? How is it going to affect people in general? How is it going to be perceived? What impact is this going to have on the Dawah as a whole? We don't think about these things. We just see something come up and we just react to it. And I've mentioned these things before as well. And these are things that I've tried to work on for myself as well. And I'm still working on, and I'm trying to better myself from this perspective. But this is important, and we have to take the Dawah seriously. We cannot let the algorithm dictate our actions in the Dawah. And unfortunately, the algorithm has been dictating a lot of our actions and maneuvers within the Dawah over the past several years for many people. This is a problem. And even you brothers and sisters that watch this content online, and I mentioned this I think in the last video too, take that position or that responsibility. Hold us to account. Don't just watch the videos and just like the videos or be entertained by the videos. Change your mindset too. Have a revolution in the way you perceive these things too, this content online. Your responsibility is, if you feel like someone is making content or has said something or done something which is incorrect, correct them, call them out. You have that privilege. You have the comment section in most cases under these videos and so on and so forth. So help us by holding us to account. Again, whether it's an individual or an organization, hold us to account. Furthermore, I also mentioned, watch content which is beneficial and truly educational as opposed to content that's entertainment. And that's the effort you're going to have to make. Because you make this effort, it's going to change things. It will affect the algorithm and what the algorithm pushes and promotes on your feed and others' feeds. So you have a role to play in this as well. Anyway, I don't want to keep going on about, make this too long. But I guess to summarize, number one, watch the podcast. It's in the description of this video below. Watch it, understanding that Hamza intends good and is coming from a place of love and concern and not from a hateful place or a negative place. Secondly, put yourself in that position and ask yourself, are you making the mistakes that Hamza is talking about in this video? And if you feel you are, then rectify yourself, because that's a responsibility upon you. Thirdly, as a content consumer, be responsible, hold us to account. Furthermore, encourage, content and watch content which is truly educational and beneficial, and don't watch content which is just pure entertainment. May Allah bless you, brothers and sisters. Look, I think we're at a juncture, we're at a point now in the online dawah where one of two things is going to happen, right? Either it's going to keep going the way it's going and it's going to self-implode and it's going to be a big mess, or we're going to start changing things as individuals, as content creators and content consumers, and we're going to start rectifying ourselves and really refocusing and doing things for the right reason once again. And inshallah, the barakah will come back and a lot of good stuff will come out of this. But that's going to take work. And the question we have to ask ourselves as individuals is, are we willing to put in the work? Are we going to do what's right? I'll leave you guys with this, inshallah. May Allah bless you, brothers and sisters. Let me know your thoughts. If you've seen the podcast, in the description box below, discuss it. Any other things you feel are important, mention them as well. And I will speak to you guys soon, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum.